Welcome to Ultrafat Fotosophy channel. Today we will discuss an interesting subject.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to Lens and Thought, your go-to channel where we blend the art of photography with the depth of philosophy. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that will change the way you see your photos. Literally, we're talking about semiotics in photography. Don't worry if the word semiotics sounds a bit academic. It's really just a fancy way of saying study of signs and symbols. And guess what? You're already using it in your photography, even if you don't realize it. Semiotics, the study of signs and symbols and their use or interpretation, is a field that may sound intimidating at first, but once you get a grasp on it, you'll see that it's practically everywhere, especially in photography. From the mundane to the majestic, semiotics is the lens through which we decode and interpret images, helping us to understand not just what we see, but what it all means. To explore this fascinating topic, let's embark on a journey through the fundamentals of semiotics, how it applies to photography, and why it's a big deal, even for those who think they're just taking a simple snapshot. Imagine you're at a party. You spot a person across the room who's wearing a band t-shirt. Immediately, you think, hey, they like that band too. Without even saying a word, that person has communicated something to you. This is semiotics in action. It's all about signs, symbols, and how we interpret them. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. The term semiotics comes from the Greek word semeion, meaning sign. At its core, semiotics is the study of how signs, whether they are words, images, sounds, gestures, or objects, convey meaning. Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguist, and Charles Sanders Peirce, an American philosopher, laid the groundwork for modern semiotics. Saussure introduced the concept of the signifier, the form of a sign, and the signified, the concept it represents. Peirce, on the other hand, categorized signs into three types: icons, which resemble what they represent; indexes, which are connected to what they represent by a cause or effect; and symbols, which are arbitrary or based on convention. So, how does this all tie into photography? At first glance, a photograph might seem like nothing more than a snapshot of reality, a straightforward, literal representation of what was in front of the camera at the time the shutter clicked. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that photographs are rich with semiotic potential. Every photograph is a kind of message, a communication from the photographer to the viewer. But this message isn't just in the subject matter, it's in how the image is composed, what's included in the frame, what's left out, and even the context in which the photograph is viewed. As Roland Barthes, a French literary theorist, pointed out in his essay, The Photographic Message, a photograph can carry both denotative, literal, and connotative implied meanings. Take, for example, a photo of a cat. At the denotative level, it's just an image of a cat, furry, four-legged, likely sitting somewhere comfortable. But at the connotative level, that same photo might communicate ideas of domesticity, independence, or even laziness, depending on how the cat is portrayed and how the viewer interprets the image. Barthes also introduced the concept of the photographic paradox. which is the idea that photographs simultaneously appear to be objective records of reality denotation, and yet are also rich with connotative meanings. This paradox is at the heart of why semiotics is so crucial to understanding photography. On the one hand, we trust photographs to show us the truth. On the other hand, we know that photographers can manipulate images, either through composition, editing, or simply by choosing what to photograph and what to leave out to convey a specific message. For example, consider a photograph of a political rally. The denotative message might be, "Here is a group of people gathered together." But the connotative message could be anything from "these people are unified in their cause" to "this is a chaotic, disorganized group," depending on how the photograph is framed, what elements are emphasized, and how the image is presented to the viewer. Now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about why semiotics matters in photography. Simply put, understanding semiotics allows us to become more critical consumers and producers of images. By recognizing the signs and symbols in photographs, we can better understand the messages they convey, both on the surface and beneath it. This is especially important in today's world, where we are bombarded with images every day. From social media feeds to news reports to advertisements. Take advertising, for example. Advertisements are a rich field for semiotic analysis because they often rely on connotations to sell products. A photo of a watch in an ad, for example, isn't just about telling you the time. The ad might use semiotics to associate the watch with ideas of luxury, status, and success, communicating that by buying this watch, you're buying into that lifestyle. In photography, semiotics also allows us to see beyond the obvious. It helps us understand the deeper meanings that might be at play in a photograph, meanings that the photographer may have intentionally or unintentionally embedded in the image. For instance, a black and white photo might evoke feelings of nostalgia or timelessness, not just because it lacks color, but because of the cultural associations we have with black and white images, which are often tied to historical documentation or classic art forms. Photographers, whether they realize it or not, often use semiotic techniques to communicate with their audience. Let's break down some of the ways they do this. One, pose and gesture. The way subjects are posed in a photograph can convey a lot of meaning. A person standing tall with their arms crossed might be seen as confident or defensive, while someone slouched over might be perceived as sad or defeated. These interpretations are based on cultural codes that we've learned over time. Tube objects and props. The items included in a photograph can also carry significant meaning. A photograph of a person holding a book might suggest they are intellectual or studious. The choice of objects can influence how the viewer interprets the image. Three, lighting and color. Lighting and color are powerful tools in photography. Bright, warm lighting might evoke feelings of happiness and comfort, while dark, Harsh lighting might create a sense of tension or unease. Similarly, colors can carry different connotations. Red might suggest passion or danger, while blue could evoke calm or sadness. For our framing and composition, how a photograph is framed, what is included and what is excluded from the shot, can greatly affect its meaning. A close-up shot might feel intimate, drawing the viewer into the subject's personal space, while a wide shot might convey a sense of isolation or insignificance. Five, context and captioning. The context in which a photograph is presented can also influence its interpretation. A photograph shown in a news article might be seen as a factual representation of events, while the same photograph in an art gallery might be interpreted as a commentary on those events. Captions and text that accompany images can further shape their meaning, sometimes even altering the viewer's understanding of what they see. As if all this weren't enough, Semiotics also introduces the concept of myth in photography. But don't worry, this isn't about dragons or ancient gods. In semiotic terms, a myth is a deeply ingrained cultural belief that has become so normalized that it seems natural, rather than constructed. Barthes explained how certain images carry these myths, reinforcing cultural ideologies without us even realizing it. For example, consider the American dream myth. A photograph of a suburban home with a picket fence might not just be a picture of a house. It might also convey ideas of success, security, and the ideal family life, ideas that are part of the broader cultural narrative of the American dream. His is why semiotics is so crucial. It helps us to unpack these myths, to understand how images perpetuate certain ideologies, and to recognize that these interpretations are not universal truths, but culturally specific constructs. An essential aspect of semiotics in photography is recognizing that the meaning of an image is not just determined by the photographer, but also by the viewer. We bring our own experiences, knowledge, and cultural background to the interpretation of images, which means that different viewers might interpret the same photograph in very different ways. This subjectivity is both a strength and a challenge of photography. On the one hand, it allows for rich, diverse interpretations of images. On the other hand, it can lead to misunderstandings or manipulations of meaning. A photograph that seems to have a straightforward meaning to one person might carry a completely different connotation for someone from a different cultural or social background. Let's put all this theory into practice with a case study. Imagine a photograph of a young child holding a toy gun. On the surface, the denotative level, it's simply a child with a toy, but depending on the context, the connotative meanings could vary widely. In a suburban setting, the image might evoke a sense of innocence or playfulness, as toy guns are often seen as harmless props in childhood games. In a different context, such as a war-torn region, the image might carry much darker connotations, suggesting themes of violence, conflict, and the loss of innocence. Furthermore, if this image were used in an anti-violence campaign, the toy gun might become a symbol in Pierce's terms representing the dangers of normalizing violence at a young age. The semiotic analysis of this photograph would involve looking at how the signifier, the child with the toy gun, and the signified, the concept of violence, or play interact, and how the image might be interpreted differently based on its presentation and context. In the end, semiotics is like a Swiss Army knife for photographers and viewers alike. It equips you with the tools to dig deeper into images, to uncover hidden meanings, and to better understand the world around you. Whether you're snapping a quick selfie or analyzing a Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph, semiotics invites you to see beyond the surface and to appreciate the rich layers of meaning that every image contains. So next time you pick up a camera or scroll through your Instagram feed, remember that there's more to a picture than meets the eye. With a little bit of semiotic savvy, you'll start to see the world of photography in a whole new light, one where every image is a treasure trove of meaning just waiting to be discovered. So there you have it. Semiotics might sound complex, but at its core, it's all about seeing the hidden messages in every photograph. By understanding these concepts, you can take your photography and your interpretation of images to a whole new level. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Lens and Thought for more deep dives into photography and philosophy. Until next time, keep looking beyond the surface.
Thank you for watching. Please help to subscribe, like, and share our channel. See you next time.